There are hidden secrets in every story, secrets that shape who we become and push us to reach heights we never thought possible. Today, we're going to explore one such story, where a simple farmer's son, raised in the humble fields of a small town in the United States, built a brand that would inspire generations. This is not just the story of business. It's a tale of loss, grief, family struggles, heartbreak, and redemption. It's a journey of tears, growth, and above all, hope. When young Matthew Collins was growing up on his family's farm in rural Kentucky, he never imagined that one day he would be the face of $1 million brand. As a child, he would run through the fields, his hands touching the soil his family had worked for generations. But beneath the dirt and sweat, there was a fire that Matthew couldn't yet understand. A fire to do more, to be more. Matthew's father, John, was a hard-working man. He never spoke much about dreams or ambitions. His words were always about the land, the crops, and the seasons. It was a simple life, yet one filled with hard work and purpose. Every morning, Matthew would wake up to the smell of fresh bread his mother baked and the sound of his father's boots walking through the fields. Despite the peace that life on the farm brought, Matthew knew there was more to the world than just planting seeds and harvesting crops. One evening, as Matthew and his father sat on the porch, the golden rays of the setting sun lighting up the sky, Matthew looked at his father with a question that had been weighing on his heart. "Dad," he asked, his voice trembling, "do you ever think about something more than this farm? What if there's more we can do with our lives?" His father looked at him with a mixture of concern and wisdom. "Matthew," he said softly, "the world will try to tell you that bigger is better. But you see, son, sometimes it's the small things that matter the most. Your work here, on this land, this family, it's a legacy. Don't forget that." Matthew didn't understand it fully then, but those words stayed with him, resonating in his heart. He didn't know it, but his father's quiet wisdom would become the foundation upon which Matthew would build his future. As Matthew grew older, he decided to leave the farm and go to college in a nearby town. He earned a degree in business, and, while he was away, he came to realize how disconnected he had become from the farm, from his roots. During one summer, he returned to the farm, heartbroken to find that his father had been diagnosed with a terminal illness. The man who had always been the pillar of strength in his life was now frail and weak, and Matthew was faced with the painful truth that time was running out. One day, as his father rested in his favorite chair by the window, Matthew found an old letter tucked away in the desk drawer, written by his father years ago. The letter spoke of dreams and plans for the future, plans that would never come to be. His father had always worked so hard, but in his heart, he had longed for something bigger. The tears streamed down Matthew's face as he read his father's words. His heart ached with guilt for not having been there sooner, for not seeing the dreams his father had buried. That was the turning point for Matthew. He realized that his father had lived his life with pride, working the land and keeping the family strong. But he had never had the chance to build the legacy he had envisioned. Now, Matthew had a chance to fulfill those dreams, not just for himself, but for his father. Matthew decided to create something that would honor his family's legacy. He started a small clothing brand that reflected the spirit of hard work, simplicity, and the beauty of the land. He named it Collins & Co.'s, a tribute to his family name, and created designs that connected people to the natural beauty of the farm life he had grown up with. It wasn't about making money. It was about preserving the values of hard work and family. But the journey was not easy. Matthew faced rejection, failure, and moments when he wanted to give up. There were times when his brand didn't sell, and he struggled to make ends meet. There were nights when he sat alone in his apartment, thinking about the farm, about his father, and wondering if he was making the right choice. One particularly difficult day. After attending his father's funeral, Matthew found himself standing by the gravesite, feeling the weight of his loss. The grief was overwhelming, and the tears flowed freely as he whispered words he never had the chance to say. "I'm sorry, Dad. I'll make it. I promise I'll make you proud." But even in that moment of deep sorrow, he felt a spark within him, a spark that had been lit years ago, in those quiet moments on the farm. His father's words echoed in his mind. Sometimes it's the small things that matter the most. With renewed determination, Matthew poured his heart and soul into Collins & Co. Slowly, the brand began to grow. People started to notice the simple, yet meaningful designs, and they connected with the story behind the brand. What had once been a small idea had turned into something much bigger. The brand became a symbol of resilience, of honoring family, and of staying true to one's roots, no matter how far you go. But even as success started to build, there were moments of heartbreak. Matthew lost friends along the way, people who didn't understand his vision or who had different paths in mind. He faced betrayals too. His best friend, who had once believed in his dream, turned his back on him, and Matthew was left feeling more alone than ever. Yet, in those moments of loneliness, Matthew found solace in the memory of his father. He realized that in order to build something truly lasting, he had to let go of the past and forgive himself for the mistakes he had made. He had to learn to trust again, not just in others, but in himself. The road wasn't easy, but through each challenge, Matthew grew stronger. He began to see the value in failure, in moments of disappointment, and in the pain that had once seemed unbearable. His brand became more than just a business. It became a beacon of hope for those who had faced their own struggles and losses. One day, as Matthew sat in his office reflecting on everything he had overcome, a letter arrived. It was from a young woman named Emily, who had bought a piece of clothing from Collins & Co. She thanked him for creating something that reminded her of her own family's farm. In her letter, Emily wrote, Your brand brought me back to my roots. It made me remember the things that really matter, the things I had forgotten. Tears welled up in Matthew's eyes as he read her words. In that moment, he realized that his father's legacy wasn't just about the land. It was about the love, the memories, and the impact we leave on others. Matthew had built a brand, but more importantly, he had built a legacy. A legacy of love, hard work, and the belief that even in our darkest moments, there is always hope. Matthew's journey was one of pain, growth, and triumph. His story is a reminder that even the smallest seed, when nurtured with love and perseverance, can grow into something truly remarkable. And while his brand may have been built on the foundation of a farmer's life, it was rooted in the deeper values of family, sacrifice, and the courage to dream beyond what we can see.